Hello, my name is Barbara, and welcome to Around the WNBA. So, we all know, those of us who watched, the Fever won 102 to 88. It was a beautiful game, a wonderful game, a crazy game. Absolutely. Caitlin was back. Whew. Cunningham was back. Whew. It was if they had never left and that Caitlyn had only gotten better over time, right? So listen, I have discovered 3 reasons why they won tonight. And I want to share those with you. But give me a moment. I want to just go into the game overall and just sort of give you my take on it. The game was spot on. Defense was up. Offense was up. And guess what? The Liberty had no answer for it whatsoever. No answer for it. As a matter of fact, the more they increased their defense, the more they disrupted what New York had in mind. They totally disrupted that. And that is the making of a win. Okay, let's go through it. Caitlin, in the first half, how many 3-pointers did she do? And back to back? Can someone say back to back? All right. She was on fire. Okay? And all of these were done within a matter of seconds. A matter of seconds. So listen. The game was won because Caitlin, all right, now check this out. I want you to hear this. She made 3 3-pointers. Okay? One from 33 feet, one from 27 feet, and another one from 31 feet. In a span of 38 seconds. 38 seconds. Wow. Okay, that was crazy. That was awesome. That was beauty in motion. Okay? And so it was just a wonderful game to watch. And I liked seeing how when Caitlin gave one 3-pointer, she was being, guarded by Stewie. Stewie couldn't help but to break out in a smile and laughter because, again, she had no answer for it. And also, that many threes back to back in such a very short time was something that most people can't do. And so her and Caitlin had a little moment on the court. Little moment. The team was on point. We had Colson, who stepped up. She absolutely did and had, a couple of threes. Everybody on the team did their job for the most part. But you know what? Sometimes, and I just want to just talk about this. Sometimes, and I think we're all guilty of this, we want perfection. I don't know why we want perfection from the athletes that we follow, why we want perfection from the teams that we follow. But sometimes, even though we don't say it, we kind of want perfection. And what Caitlin and the team showed us tonight or this afternoon is that in basketball, in life, in anything, there is no perfection. So did they have a perfect game? No. There were turnovers. Sometimes the lack of communication was there. It wasn't spot on. That happened. Also, hey, New York scored. So there were times where their defense wasn't where it should have been. We know this. So why do we sometimes want them to have or display perfection when we are not perfect, when basically no one in this world is perfect? But when you can play a game the way the Fever played a game this afternoon, We have nothing to say about that, but well done. Good job. And they did. And the Liberty could not answer them. The Liberty could not disrupt them from their mission. Because the Fever were on a mission for the Liberty. In the first quarter, they had 26, Indiana had 24. Second quarter, 24, New York, and 29, Indiana. Third quarter, 21, New York, 27, Indiana. Fourth quarter, New York 17 and Indiana 22. So you can see the progression. 24 in the first quarter, and then Indiana went up to 29, and then 27, and then 24. New York was 26th, then 24, then 21, and then 17. So towards the end of the third, well, I'll just say the third and the fourth, that's when Indiana did their thing. It's important that third and fourth quarter are important, especially the fourth. Especially. You don't want to be tied in the fourth. You don't want to be sluggish in the fourth. You want to know that that's the time when you got to make the points. That's the time you got to really, you know, do bucket for bucket. Okay, here we go. New York. Breanna Stewart, she had field goals 7 out of 15 and 24 points. Kennedy Burke, 1 out of 5 field goals, and she had 3 points. Sabely had 10 points, 5 out of 12 field goals. Natasha Cloud had 5 points, 1 out of 8. Sabrina had 11 out of 20 field goals, and she had 34 points. Okay. And she had 4 out of 10 3-point shots made. All right. Now, they held Natasha Cloud, they held Sabely, and they held Kennedy Burke. All right. They didn't allow them to make too many points. That was good. Off the bench, we have Marianne Joannis made 10 points, and Isabel Harrison made 2 points. And Johannes, she had 2 out of 6 3-pointers that were made. So they did pretty good on their offense, but it wasn't good enough for the Fever. Not this game. It wasn't good enough. Now, Indiana. We have Caitlin, who had 32 points. Hull had 14. Kelsey had 22. Boston had 10. Howard had 4. Off the bench, we had Cunningham had 5. Colson had 10. And Dantas had 5. So we know that Colson stepped up. She got 2 of 3 3-pointers. Okay. So she stepped up. And that was good to see. Really good to see. And we have Caitlin, of course, 7 of 14 3-pointers. She had 9 assists. Boston had 11 rebounds. Kelsey had 9 of 21 field goals and 3 of 10 3-pointers. Okay? This is the way that it's supposed to look for the Fever. This is the way they're supposed to be playing. All right? This should be a very normal, natural, point scoring that they do all the time. Okay? And it usually is, or higher. And I think that now their rhythm is coming back. I think that Caitlin being back has meant a lot to the team, meant a lot to her. And also, they are gelling, or three reasons why they won that I can see myself. I'm sure there's others, but these are the three that stood out for me. So let's talk about that. One, Caitlyn was back. Do not ever underestimate what someone brings to the table, what someone brings to the court. And those someones I'm talking about either have it or they don't. And Caitlyn has it. She has an essence. You can call it a, you know, what you want to call it. You can call it a essence, a vibe. I don't know what you want to call it. But she has it. And so what she has permeates her teammates in the locker room. So when they're talking before, or she's talking before the game, her essence, who she is, flows through that locker room, splashes on the players, splashes on the coaches, okay? And they can't help themselves but go along with what her plan is, to go along with what she's saying. Now, again, I don't know what's going on in the locker room. I have no idea. But what I'm saying is that whenever you're around someone who is greatness, who can do something you can't do, and who just really gets that close to, they're not perfect, but what they're about is something you can't understand. So you want to be closer to it because it's good and it's positive. That's what Caitlyn has. And so I'm sure in that locker room, as they're processing, getting ready to come on the court, she says something to them to encourage them. She's a point guard. She's a point guard. That's what's going to happen. And then the coach says something, which probably ping pongs back and forth between those two as, they're sitting there in the locker room. Then they get on the court. What Caitlyn carries, her charisma, you want to call it, whatever you want to say that it is, she carries that to the court. The fans get a hold of it. They get splashed with it. Then you have the other team that can't help to get splashed with it. And so what that does to the other team is it throws them off. It's not helpful to them. It throws them off. They begin to worry. They begin to second guess. They begin to not to show up the way that they probably could. Right? So the first reason that they won was Caitlyn was back. All right? And she had her arsenal of three-pointers, okay? Her going into the paint, getting buckets, okay? And her assisting her teammates to win. Second reason, they played like an oiled machine. You know how sometimes when you have a machine that needs oil but doesn't have any oil, and so it gets to creaking or it gets to grinding gears and stuff like that, where it can, really break and you have a hard time with it. What happened to today was they played like a well-oiled machine. There was no creaking. There were no gears grinding. They were on point. And they fed off each other. They were there for each other. Now, was it perfect? No, I'm not saying nothing about perfection, because there's nothing perfect. But they actually worked together, and you can see that in how they played. All right? No one was selfish. Except for maybe one time when when CC wanted the ball and Cunningham kind of had it to herself for a second. But besides that, no one was selfish. Right? And so when you have a well-oiled machine running well, and it's doing what it's supposed to do, the team's gelling, the team's together, and they're feeding off each other, you're going to get a high, opportunity to get a win. So you have Caitlyn Clark coming back. She's full of steam. She's ready to go. She's on fire. You have a well-oiled machine, the team working together, communicating for the most part. These are both gives you optimum a chance to get a win, pretty much. Okay, the third thing is that they had defense. They must have been practicing their method or their scheme of defense because they were on point. And you could see it. You could see it. And even when, check this out, even when, Stewie and Sabrina tried to double team, and they did, Boston and whoever was in the paint, they double teamed them a little bit, kind of thing, right? Guess what? What happened? The ball started coming from the perimeter. They started shooting threes. They started doing the unexpected of what the Liberty didn't know how to answer. Okay? That was good thinking on the court. On the court. And there was one time in the interview came up where it basically they were down to their last timeout. White didn't want to call a timeout until they needed to have a timeout. So they had to talk on the court. They had to communicate well on the court. And what happened was that communication was seen because they had a good defense. And they saw what was going on with the Liberty. They saw what they were trying to do, and they squashed it. They were able to make their points other ways. Right? So those are the three ways. They had Caitlin back. She was on fire. She was on point. All right. And her essence permeated the whole situation in the locker room, on the court. Everybody, felt it and was ignited by it. Two, right? They had a well-oiled machine. They worked together as a team for the most part. And they fed off each other on the court. They communicated pretty good, right? And three, defense. When you got a good defense, that ups your chance of winning a game. Okay? Because not only did they have good defense, they actually were able to outmaneuver the Liberty. Because even when Stewie went to the free throw line, as many times as she did, and Sabrina did as well, that's usually their tactic that they use in order for them to win some games, especially if they're down to the last, minutes of the fourth quarter. That didn't help them this time. No, it did not. Okay? Because the Fever were on a mission. They wanted to win, and it showed. We all saw it. The Liberty saw it. The fans saw it who were there in the stadium. Everybody saw it. Okay? And it just goes to show you that teams that have a long stretch of winning can also lose. Teams who have some time in a loss, department where they've been losing can also win. It's all about the grit. It's all about the aggressiveness. It's all about, do you want it? It's all about communicating together as a team. It's all about not being selfish on the court. It's all about defense, offense. And the Fever showed it to us today. I'm anxious to hear your thoughts about the game, what you saw, how you engaged with the game today when you watched it on TV, or if you were there actually in the stadium. And like, I always say, if you are enjoying this content and you have come to see my content here and there, hey, you might as well subscribe. No better time than the present. Just push a button and subscribe. Okay? And always give me a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. And I ask you to, tap on that little bell, because that way you'll know when there's new content available. So like always, it's been real. And today we fans of the Fever are excited for what's next. So until next time, go Fever. This is Barbara around the WNBA. Talk to you soon. Blessings.